Hi, my name's Andy Homden, and welcome to this Firestarter session on the post-COVID future of school design and architecture, part of Relearn, the Learning Innovation Festival for November 2020. I wonder if any of us had any idea of what the arrival of COVID-19 would mean to schools. One by one, they were closed down around the world, and we began to realize what we had lost. Schools are not only centers of learning, they're community hubs. They're where you meet friends. They're centers for the arts and sport, and they provide so many support networks for adults and students in so many ways. We have missed them all. In March, we were working on a refurbishment project on a small city site in a city of 1.6 million people in the Russian Federation. It was a 1950s building. It was a very tight space, and we were tasked with helping architects to redesign the interiors and the exteriors to provide for a school ultimately of 450 students in the next 2 or 3 years. We were ambitious. We wanted to lighten the interiors and make it a welcoming and inspiring place. Just as the demolition was nearing completion to prepare the way for refurbishment and the installation of furniture, fittings, and equipment, the project was put on ice. We, in collaboration with our clients, started to think what would have to happen next when the project could resume. The clients asked us to reimagine how we should approach the idea of design, and if indeed there would be any differences in our approach as a result of the pandemic and what it seemed to mean to schools around the world as the situation worsened. There were going to be new constraints, we knew that. Social distancing, keeping zones apart, keeping children and adults apart in different bubbles or zones, increased provision for hygiene, for hand washing, for circulation, and so on. And this seemed to suggest to us that there was going to be more pressure on space within this already very constrained building. We had wanted to fit in as many specialized areas as we could, as well as shared areas for the good of the school and for the inspiration of the learning that was going to take place inside. But now we had to think about different arrangements of drop-off and pick-up, entrances and exits, the way the children got around the school, the way that the adults got around the school, particularly about isolation areas, for hygiene areas, for hand washing, and how we would manage bubbles and zones within a reconfigured building. The outdoor space became even more important, and let's not forget the cleaners who would need more space to house their materials and to get themselves organized from because of the increased need for cleaning throughout the day. So it seemed to us there were going to be some real disadvantages as we started going forward and rethinking the way that we had advised the school to be organized. But when we started thinking about it in a little bit more depth, other ideas started to occur to us. What if the school was operated on a shift system? In other words, you had one sitting in the morning, another sitting in the afternoon, and all through the day, perhaps the senior kids could come and drop in to visit their teachers, to meet their teachers, to attend small classes, and to interact with the adults that they needed to support them through their learning. In other words, what if we said that the youngest children had a session at school during the day, every day, and the older children were going to take part in some kind of blended learning, some of the classes, the more straightforward general classes to happen online, and the more specialized events, the more specialized classes like science, like PE, and like design, took place in the school. If we were to assume that was going to happen, at any one time there would be fewer children on site, and there would be a need for fewer conventional classrooms. Conventional classrooms have been a problem to us because we were trying to fit as many as we could in while making space for all the specialized areas that we and our client really wanted to make this building so special. If we were to spread out the use of the school by the day, there would be more space available for everyone to use while they were on site. We went back to the areas that we had started to design. At first, we had thought that there were some areas that just looked like luxuries, the shared areas, the area for drama, the area for music, the area for sports. These areas we had fought for to try and win from this building, and we'd actually fitted in a lot. What we realize now is that as people started to value schools for things apart from classroom learning, these specialized areas were not nice to have, they were essential. The school had to have them in order to offer its community the variety and the inspiration that is needed to make a school special and to make it thrive. So we went and looked at the spaces that we had already started to design, and we were just trying to fit in. And we thought these areas are going to become even more essential. If we had any doubts about trying to fit in this configuration, for example, which would accommodate a sports and drama, an exhibition centre, multiple use of space at the expense of 4 classrooms, and we did have doubts about that, we didn't have doubts anymore. This area was absolutely central to the nature of the school and what the school could provide as a special community centre to the city. So we began to think in terms of the effects of COVID-19 as being liberating rather than constraining. If we actually made use of the building throughout the day, and that means from 7:30 in the morning to perhaps 9:30 in the evening, the school could breathe. It could breathe socially as well as literally. We would push the multi-purpose use of any area as far as we could. We would look at the way that the older children use the school and combine the use of the campus with their online lessons at home. We think that that is really going to happen in the future, and it will liberate space within tight buildings like this. Of course, because we have taken all the constraints into mind as we go forward, we think that the school can bubble much quicker and much easier than what has happened in schools as they started to react to the COVID-19 crisis earlier in the year. And this means that there will be greater continuity as we go forward. In other words, we're seeking to minimize the impact of school closures and any future pandemics on the ability of schools to operate. As I said, we would operate during the evening. And of course, over the weekend, the use is assumed all the way through the week. What COVID-19 has done to us has made us aware of the importance of time and the use of time as well as the use of space. And if you use time more efficiently, more space, in effect, becomes available. So, is this the future of school designs? Rather than starting with a big campus that all children attend all of the time at the same time, we start thinking of it as a new K-12, for example, low-density school, where kids come at different times during the day. And there's more flexible use of scheduling so that older children can take part in activities both at the campus itself and at home. We do think that younger children need to be at school pretty much every day of the week. And the younger they are, the more important that is. But again, when you think of time as well as space, when you think of them as attending in shifts, the older students dropping in with the younger children there most of the time, we're making more efficient use not only of space, but of time. The things that we had thought to include in the school, playgrounds, sports facilities, science labs, of course, but expressive arts, a black box drama studio. These spaces are now really essential. They are there for kids to use, and you cannot do this at home. You cannot provide activities that really require specialized facilities at the home through online learning, and it must take place at the school. coming into school for these sorts of things, as well as consultations for the teachers, with the teachers for older students, and the shift system for the younger ones, makes much more efficient use of any space that you're lucky enough to have. So we would timetable activities and classes at the weekends and the evenings so that the whole community can make use of this space, which has started to open up and to breathe. So this has been a very thought-provoking time for us. And I think that this time in 2020 is going to be one of the most important periods that we will be using to reevaluate how education works. And in this case, how school design works and how it can be taken forward. We're still in the early stages of reimagining how schools will work and how schools will be designed. But we started thinking, and although we first thought that the implications were going to be constraining, we now think they're going to be liberating. Thank you very much indeed.